Hello, I am Aiden Groves, a farm marketer with Cargill down in East St. Louis, Illinois. And the most common, perhaps the most difficult question on every grower's mind when they are considering growing non-GMO soybeans is how do I economically control weeds in my fields? We at Cargill have partnered with Purdue University specialists to answer this daunting question for you.
No, that's natural. Like I said, this was a disaster area for 3 years in a row on water hemp. So there's a question earlier about how do you manage resistance? If you add multiple modes of action, let's say you want to be a non-GMO and you want to do that for years, how do you make sure you're not going to get resistance to the chemistry you're using in non-GMO crop? Do you use one herbicide? Let's say in this case, would you just use Liberty? And you keep on using Liberty, well, sooner or later that's going to break, right? Okay, what if you use Liberty this year and use dicamba the following year? That's rotating your herbicide modes of action. Is that going to prevent resistance? Research has shown out of Illinois, survey out of field trials, the best way to prevent resistance is to actually use your different modes of action together. Don't use them in rotation, use them together. So tank mixtures. So it's not use Liberty this year, use dicamba next year. It'd be use Liberty and dicamba together this year, use Liberty and dicamba together next year, so on and so forth. Where would I place, what type of fields, what type of weed pressure would I put a non-GMO field? It would not be one where it stays wet and they're always going to be in a rush to plant it in the spring. I would not go on those acres because then they're going to forego the residual herbicide or not get it applied in time. And then what do you do if beans come up and you didn't address weed management yet? That's a challenge.
Yeah. So once the beans are up, it takes herbicides like Valor, Authority, Sharpen, Metribuzin. It takes all those herbicides out of the equation, and those are the herbicides you need to have in there for some residual activity on water hemp.
So if you think about that fixed cost, if we say, okay, assume $65 an acre for non-GMO weed control, and your premium is so much per bushel, well, where am I going to make the most money? Where I can have marginal land that I might get 45 bushel beans, or is it where I can get 80 bushel beans? Where's that going to make the most sense? High yielding environments, right?
Monsanto was very effective at telling people that the residual herbicides hurt your yield, and so we have fought that message for over 20 years. It was interesting, the last 8 or 9 years, Monsanto had completely changed their tone on that, so now they don't impact yields.
So fields that dry out slow in the spring, you're going to be in a rush to plant. Fields that are low yield potential, I don't think they'd be a good candidate for me to recommend non-GMO beans. Even in traded soybeans, like we already talked about, some might be spending $45, $50 an acre on those. So the difference, you might be talking, in some cases maybe zero, might not be any difference, or maybe it's up to $40 difference. And of course there's a yield component too, your genetics yield better than some other genetics that you're not growing. We have a non-GMO Pioneer variety. Pre-emergence was Authority first, 6.4 ounces. Because in non-GMO beans, I don't think there should be an acre without a pre-emergence residual herbicide on it. Now we came back with FlexStar Select Max for volunteer corn because that's just an issue these days. The adjuvant package, which is AMS and MSO. So FlexStar, no residual in with the post application. Farm out, so let's go ahead and next treatment here we have same thing, but we added in Zidua post-emergence. So we don't have much faith at this site because of PPO resistance. I think it's right around 30% PPO resistant water hemp here. That FlexStar is going to kill any water hemp that comes up. So we try to keep it down with Authority first and then come back with something before you have new water hemp emergence. Hopefully we'll prevent some new emergence. Helps us use group 14 and 15 modes of action to combat that. Growers say, okay, I understand I need a soil residual herbicide, but I need to cut costs somewhere. And so Boundary is dual and Sencor. So it represents a group 15 and a group 5. Well, we say you still need a soil residual herbicide. Can I use something that's cheaper? This might be one that we would go to. We don't feel good about it if we know we're in a non-GMO system and they have a lot of water hemp that's PPO resistant. But let's just say they're on non-GMO and they have water hemp, but they haven't had any history of PPO resistance. Well, maybe this would be okay if you can rely on that FlexStar post to kill something. It's a grower that was in non-GMO soybeans in southern Illinois in the heart of PPO Resistance through 2013. This was part of his program. So he would use the boundary plus authority first. So he would also add prowl, just in case, because you never knew what the weather would do. If you have too much rainfall on boundary, you might not get as much residual control of water hemp. Prowl's in there to kind of offset the environmental extremes. So then he came back with Flex Star, Select, or Residua, and then typically come back with Cobra and Warrant.
Following the last 2 years of research with Purdue University, it has been resoundingly proven that one can control weeds in a non-GMO bean system, with our trials this year achieving 100% control and doing this very economically, leading to more profit above and beyond its counterpart GMO systems, with proper management, of course. We at Cargill greatly appreciate the opportunity to partner with your farming operation to increase your profits and diversify your farming operation, all while meeting the growing needs of our consumers both today and tomorrow. For more information, please contact your local Cargill representative.